Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to something a little bit different. This is an idea that I've been kind of kicking around in my head for a little bit now with my brother, who's going to introduce himself here in just a second. But basically, it's a World of Warcraft and variety podcast. Essentially, it's going to be my brother and I talking about the fact that we've been gaming our entire lives. Specifically, we've been playing World of Warcraft our entire lives. If you've been around the channel, you kind of know me a little bit. My name is Cabinath. I've been playing WoW for pretty much my entire life. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and just roll right into it. My dude, how are you?
I am great. I'm glad to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Estorian. He's my brother. That's not his real name, but that's the name we're going with right now. Why don't you, this is my channel, and people kind of know me a little bit already, so I'll let you go ahead and take the floor and kind of just introduce yourself a little bit.
All right. Well, yeah, I am a historian. I am known by many on the classic server Old Blanchy. That's where I play. That's the game I play the most right now. I've been gaming, like you said, pretty much my whole life. I've been playing World of Warcraft in particular since about elementary school, so I'm quite versed. I love the game, I love the content, I love the lore, I love everything about the game, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah. Well, like I said, everyone, this is kind of my channel, so at this point, if you've seen a few of my videos, you kind of know me a little bit. My name is Cabinath. I've kind of gone by that name on the internet for a hot minute now. I've been playing World of Warcraft actually since elementary school as well. I think I was actually 12 years old when I first started playing this game, so it might actually have been middle school, but I've been playing this game since 2005, original vanilla. We'll kind of get to my history with it a little bit later. Yeah, basically what we're doing here, and why I think people are going to be really interested here, and I'd kind of like to hear your thoughts as well, is this is just sort of like a World of Warcraft variety slice of life kind of podcast. We're two dudes. We've been gaming our entire lives. We've been gaming together for most of those years as well, and we kind of have a very interesting perspective, and we got a lot to say. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I think we're both big fans of the MMO genre. We're both big fans of the RPG genre. We've kind of played similar games our whole lives, so we definitely have but we also play different games. Like there's some games I like that you don't. I imagine there's some games that you like and I don't. So I imagine there's definitely a very interesting perspective from the both of us, and I think we could add some good banter to.
Oh yeah, certainly. Well, and those who play World of Warcraft, obviously, we're going to get into some nitty gritty, World of Warcraft topics. Estorian's a big time raider. We're going to get into some real nitty gritty topics there, but we're also, we're gonna keep it lively and talk about some other things. We're going to talk about some other things as well. So the one thing that, the first thing actually I think is kind of the biggest one to get out of the way is, what are you maining right now in World of Warcraft? Now this could be classic, this could be retail, whatever it is. I'm going to let you go ahead and take it first.
Right now I main a Fury Warrior. I've been playing this warrior since retail came out. I think I made him the second or third day that classic was live. I have probably 30 days played on him.
Wow.
About 20 days played at 60. That's pretty much my main right now. My other main I'd consider is a level 13 Night Elf Warrior, or a Night Elf Hunter.
Okay.
It's not kind of my ult right now. I don't really play him much. I also have a level 32 Horde Warrior that I'm going to get to 60 one day. Probably not soon. But those are and I only play Classic. I'm not playing retail right now at the moment. For many reasons that we can talk about later.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm playing right now.
Right on. So I am very nice. Yeah, the warrior. This is if for anyone curious, if you've seen my intro video for my Night Elf Warrior intro series, all of the quotes are from this man. He is the Chad Warrior that we quoted there. But yeah, so I am currently in classic World of Warcraft. I am maining a human priest. Teilhard is how it's pronounced. A lot of people pronounce it Teilhard, or whatever it's pronounced. Teilhard.
It's not pronounced Teilhard?
It is pronounced Teilhard.
How have I never known this?
I like to keep it a secret.
That is a big secret.
So, and there's kind of an interesting story behind why I like to have stories behind all my names. Yeah, so that's my main in classic. I have a lot of alts that, and I have a a troll mage and a troll shaman that I have plans on getting to 61 day on Bigglesworth. That's our PvP server that we've been playing on. I have a few other alts on Classic that aren't necessarily worth talking about, but I do play retail. I do play retail still to this day. I have my oldest character, actually, my hunter. I have plans on playing him in Shadowlands. I also have a Night Elf warrior and a Night Elf mage. And I have a lot of characters. I'm kind of the different end of the spectrum. You're kind of you have one or a few characters. I have a shit ton.
Right. Yeah, I've never been much of the alcoholic. I like to play the one.
Yeah, I've tried over the years. I've tried to narrow my focus, definitely. So I have characters now that have meaning to me. My Night Elf warrior that I'm playing on Classic and on retail, like they have meaning to me. My hunter, obviously, like that character means something to me. My priest was I made the same time as you made your warrior, like that was the first week I think of Classic, so like obviously like that character has meaning to me, and so that sort of like brought me, or is going to bring me into like my next question, or like what it's something I'm going to talk about. Maybe you could talk about like, but some characters over your World of Warcraft years, because we've talked about this a few times, just you and me. Over the years we talk about different characters and they sort of bring you back to different periods of time. So like for me, for instance, I talk about my paladin in vanilla that I got to level 40 and was like, it's too hard, I don't want to keep going. And then my Draenei hunter, that was the character I was just talking about. I played that character extensively in Burning Crusade, my Night Elf warriors, etc. I just wanted to hear like what some characters that stand out, because you've not always just played Estorian the warrior. What have you played over the years?
No, so mostly like if we want, I'm just going to do it chronologically. So
sure, yeah.
In original vanilla, I did play it was a gnome rogue by the name of Chen.
Yes.
Got to about 30, 32. Realized the game was too hard because I'm a fucking 5th grader. Sorry, do we swear in this?
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because I was 5th grader, so I didn't really know what was going on. And BC dropped.
Yeah.
I made a Tauren druid by the name of Chen. That name kind of stuck with me for a while. I got him to 70, but I didn't really. That was towards the end of BC, and I didn't really play into the content really. Wrath of Lich King. I had a dwarf Death Knight. I got to about 72, 73, I believe. Not too far. Didn't really experience much of the content there. I didn't play Kata. Mist Pandaria is where it really starts to shine, because I had a human mage. I forgot his name, to be honest. But I did have a human mage. I raided on him in Mist Pandaria. It was great. I didn't do all the raids, but still a great time. And then WoD dropped. I didn't play WoD at all, really. And then, but the character that sticks out the most for me was my human paladin by the name of Estorian. That's where I got the name. It was auto-generated. It's just an auto-generated human name.
Sometimes those stick with you, so like it's unique enough that.
Yeah, in Legion, I raided with a Russian guild. They were very professional. I was their main tank. It was amazing. I was one of like 4 people in that guild that spoke English, but the raid leader, he didn't speak English. All he knew how to say was, all he told me was taunt, and that's all I needed to know. It's great. We did heroic. We did all the heroics, dabbled in mythic a bit, but then I stopped playing. Obviously, and then going into BFA, I didn't really play a lot. Honestly, I did play the Brewmaster Monk, which was my favorite class in all of retail, I believe, is Brewmaster Monk. It's a lovely class.
Yeah.
It was wave on. I did a little bit of normal rating, but that was about it. I did normal Nyaloth, and that was as far as I got.
See, I think what's interesting is that over the years, you've actually played, I think, more consistently, because I've had to, a few of the breaks have been my choice, but for other reasons I've had to take breaks from the game over the years, high school, basic training, like just random shit, whatever. But so I ended up not playing for I played, I think, in the beginning from the latter half of Vanilla all the way through Burning Crusade. I think the beginning part of Wrath, but that's probably about when I stopped, because I think I would have been in high school. And then I didn't start playing again until Warlords of Draenor, so I missed entirely Cataclysm and Mist of Pandaria. And then I came back, like I said, in Warlords of Draenor, which was not an expansion to come back to. So I ended up quitting before Legion came out, and I came back for Legion. Loved Legion. I know that's a contentious opinion, but I actually really loved a lot of what was going on in Legion, but I didn't raid, so I raided a little bit in Legion, and I know that raiders weren't particularly happy with a lot of that. But and I've been playing BFA. I played it in the beginning and then stopped, and I've come back to it because I just really love World of Warcraft. Like I said, I have a lot of characters that have a lot of different stories behind them that I won't go into. But I do have one, actually. I did. This is one thing that I did want to get out of the way. Just one little quick WoW tale about a character that I like to tell this story because, classic is a bitch sometimes. So I have the shaman I was telling you about, and he's 29 now, troll shaman. I made him in the beginning of classic, and trust me, this story's going somewhere. And he's an enhancement shaman, and the axe corpse maker is a really good axe from Razor Friend Downs or Crawl or Razor Friend Crawl. Anyway, it dropped 5 times. I rolled on it 5 times and got it exactly 0 times. Yeah. And I don't play that character anymore. So I was just wondering if you have anything, if you have a memorable WoW tale. I mean, I will play that character someday, but I made that character in like the very beginning of Classic, and I seriously stopped playing that character for that exact reason. So anyway, do you have any? I know you've not gotten a lot of loot this week from your raids. Like, what? Give me some WoW stories.
Yeah. So one memorable WoW story that always sticks out for me is the I made a gnome mage on Old Blanchy just to see how fast I get to level 10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting to level 10 in 2.5 hours. Maybe. It was a super good time.
Wow.
Never played the mage again. I have no intention of playing mage. I just wanted to see.
Right.
And I've speedrun a few other characters to 10, and I always love the old school speedrun to 10. I think that's fun.
Right.
But this week in rating has been a little abysmal for me.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm not rating yet, but I do have plans. So we'll have a segment called This Week in Rating or whatever. So let's how was rating?
Well, so last week we had Chromatically Tempered Sword drop from Chromagus. It's one of the best DPS swords in the game. Nobody had it soft reserve. Big surprise. My guild does a soft reserve +1 loot system, if you guys are familiar with that. Right. So one other DPS warrior rolled on it. He rolled, I believe it was an 87. I remember these numbers. He rolled an 87 and I rolled a 13. Big slap in the face, right? I said, I brushed it off. It wasn't a big deal. I have a good main hand. I was really just looking for an offhand at that point. So we go to AQ40 the next week. Same DPS warrior. He reserves the best in slot DPS shoulders for the rest of the game, called Conqueror's Balders. +1% hit, great stats, amazing item. I lose the roll to him again, right?
My God.
Not a big deal. I go to MC the next day, I believe it was. I did it on Wednesday, the next day. And I need 2 items in that whole raid, Brutality Blade and Onslaught Girdle. The only 2 items I need in the whole raid. I soft reserved Brutality Blade, it drops. One other warrior soft reserved it. Fucking wins the roll.
Right.
Lose that bad boy.
Of course. Tonight's
raid wasn't bad. We actually set a record for the speed, but also I didn't get any loot. I got a dagger. I can't even really use daggers.
Jeez.
But it's a decent, nobody else rolled for it, so I just said, hey, I'll take it. So it's been, but I mean, I don't really raid to get loot. Like, you want to get loot, but I raid to have fun. And the loot's kind of a bonus.
It's all about the experience.
Yeah, and especially when you start raiding, that's something you have to realize too, because it is frustrating when you don't get loot.
Right.
As a mage, you're going to be funneled, or as a priest, you're going to be funneled loot anyways.
Sure,
but as a classic, a Fury Warrior, the loot comes so far in between, and it's like, when we do lose the roll, it's such a big deal, because it's like, dude, it's the one item in the whole raid.
And aren't you typically, I mean, I know Warrior is a very popular class, but aren't you typically with a bunch of other warriors also rolling on the same stuff?
Well, typically yes, but in our raid, it's very, like I said, we have 3 Fury Warriors, which is really interesting, because most guilds run 10, 11 Fury Warriors.
Goodness, wow.
So we have 3 or 4, and then our rogues, we have 2 rogues, which is also surprising. Anybody that knows that classic raid comp is going to be surprised by those numbers. But they're both sword rogues, and they have the sword, so it's like, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to get all the loot, because there's nobody else rolling on it, you know?
Right.
And in the frustrating part is I'm rolling against 1 or 2 people and I'm still losing. and
Yikes.
but that's what you kind of have to deal with when
I
you're in
mean, the positive way to look at it is they don't need it anymore. So next time it drops, you got it, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Unless they leave the guild or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get your. I see what you're saying. Is that you really need to have a mindset of like you need to be okay with walking out of that raid with nothing. Otherwise, like you're gonna get disappointed because sometimes you might walk away with nothing. Sometimes you might walk away with a lot of stuff, and then sometimes you might not.
Oh yeah.
But,
And that's how raiding is especially when you're in a guild like mine that runs that kind of loot system. A lot of people do DKP or loot council for this exact reason that I'm talking about, is that the loot will be funneled to the people that need it. And if CTS dropped last week and I was in a loot council guild, I would have got it because it would have replaced a blue quest item from level 50. Of course I would have got it,
Yeah, and it makes more sense as opposed to just, letting RNGs take control.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, and this is also, not that I want to get too in depth about it, but this is why we talk about this all the time, right? That's why they added personal loot. That's why everything nowadays is all personal loot in retail.
Personal loot is a beautiful and also a disgusting thing at the same time, I believe, because
that's sort of how I feel.
It credits the worth of the item,
Absolutely. Yeah. Because
if everybody gets the same items and everybody has the same gear set and everybody has the same item score, where's the fun in that?
Well, and it's evident of two completely different mentalities, right? Of loot, when you look at the way loot works in classic versus the way that loot works in retail, right? You have two different ideas about like reward and all of that kind of stuff. It's a very, very interesting thing. I'm one of those interesting people. I really like personal loot, but I also really hate it because I feel like for the same reasons that it is, good, it's really shitty. And then also,
here's a good talking point if we want to talk about the loot system. So there's a cool point is like, what's the craziest item you've got in classic, right?
Ooh.
And so for me, this is gonna, especially all you warriors out there, all you orc warriors out there, gonna be mad. I got Spinal Reaper on a human warrior, which has a 3.56% drop chance. Same percent drop chance as Bone Reaver's Edge, which is the greatest sword in the game, from Ragnaros. And I got that axe. And do you know what I use it for?
Nothing.
It stays in my bank.
Yep. Just holds up a bank slot.
It hasn't left my bank since I got it.
I'm gonna be honest, probably the coolest thing that I've gotten in classic, like item wise, is probably my mount on my human. I haven't gotten much cool shit.
Nah, it's your first BRD run, second wind. What are you kidding? That's insane.
Oh yeah, there we go. Actually, yes, that's
BRD run.
That's actually, so you want to talk about crazy RNG? So I was just talking about my shaman who had absolute garbage RNG. So my priest, my first BRD run, I got second wind, which is like an 8% chance to drop, and everyone who I was running it with was like, "Yo, we've been farming for that and can't get it to drop. What the hell?"
Yeah, it's a bit healing trinket, so about BWL, I believe. So.
Yeah, so I looked it up because I was curious, and it's literally on the pre-raid BIS list for priest. It's literally best in slot. So
yeah, if you run UBRS and you get second wind or the Briarwood trinket from Jed, you have the two trinkets out of the way. Right. Automatically.
Well, and what's funny is that the other one that I have from the quest, the Blessed Prayer beads, are also BIS because they just give you like 100 something extra or like a ridiculous amount of extra healing, but it's cooldown. It's like 2 or 3 minute cooldown.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another good talking point I wanted to add in, just because we both kind of quit classic at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like we're progressing like fairly similarly. I believe we quit at the same level. We're like what, 51, 52?
Right. Yeah.
I was just curious as to what brought you back. What wanted you, what motivated you to get to 60 and to finish the journey? Because I have my own story for that.
The biggest thing is that I've talked about this before. The regret that I have over quitting WoW over the years, right, and wishing that I could. I've had to not play because of reasons outside of my control. But sometimes I've just quit before because hey, I just didn't want to play, and I've looked back on it. I try not to live with regret or try not to have too much regret, but I do have some regret about not necessarily playing WoW as much as I feel like it deserves to be played, or like, not giving it a fair shot. And so for me, like the biggest reason is that I was streaming on Twitch. Actually, this is a fun fact. So I was streaming on Twitch and I was just really unhappy with it. And so in order to like sort of make myself happy with streaming, because I was looking to replicate the experience that I got when I was streaming old school RuneScape, but I didn't want to stream old school RuneScape again. So I started streaming World of Warcraft, and both retail and classic. And just sort of out of happenstance, I was like, well, I need to create content. And I really want to, there's a really big Twitch community or WoW community on Twitch and whatever. So that was sort of what drew me back into it. But as soon as I started playing again, I just haven't been able to quit to stop. Like I'm so interested right now in playing World of Warcraft that like I won't necessarily even play it all day every day, because obviously like I'm unemployed and I can't play the game for 12 hours a day every single day. But I keep thinking about playing it now, and now that I'm making content for YouTube, like all I can think about are interesting YouTube ideas, for videos and things like that. And to specifically answer your question about what made me want to finish the journey, well, I started this character in the beginning of Classic. I think it was in the very beginning, I made like a dwarf hunter. I made a character, I think it was a hunter, definitely a hunter, and I deleted that character, and then this was the character I made, Teard. And there's a story behind the name and everything like that. So like the character itself means something to me, and I've always wanted, like, to go back to my point about living with the regret, right? I don't want to regret. I don't want to years down the line be like, man, I wish I would have gotten to, like, the second time around, I wish I would have gotten to raid, and I wish I wouldn't have just screwed that opportunity up again. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel that way. Not that I necessarily think that it's the worst thing in the world, but not that also that's my only motivation. Don't get me wrong. I've been a huge World of Warcraft fan my entire life, and I've always like been one of those people who has a lot of bad things to say. Like, I'm kind of a negative person sometimes. When you strip away all of that, like World of Warcraft, retail and classic, because I play both, it's just a really fun, relaxing, chill game, and it's really nostalgic for me, and it makes me feel like a kid. And it's just honestly something that I can like. I can just literally play it every day and find something to do. And I don't always play it. Like, obviously, sometimes like you've mentioned, like I've quit willingly multiple times because I've gotten bored or whatever. But I find myself continually coming back. And there are other games over my life that I've had that I find myself doing. That RuneScape is one of them, like I said. But World of Warcraft has just always been there for me. Yeah. And so specifically with Classic, I want to finish the journey. I want to get to 60, and I want to raid, and I want to feel like I got that Classic journey. Because when I first started playing Classic, like vanilla the first time, it was at the very end. Like, it was already over, basically, right before BC came out. So at least this time I'll be able to feel like, I'm getting my time in it that I want to have in it. As far as like retail goes, like, I feel like I got what I wanted to out of Warlords of Draenor. I got what I wanted to out of Legion, whatever. Classic specifically, there's so much more that I want to get out of it that I don't want to look back and regret it this time.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% when you're saying like, because I've gotten what I wanted out of WoW. I really have. I've played the game so much. I got a lot of hours. But at the same time, it just brings me such enjoyment that I want to keep doing it. And the reason I came back and I wanted to level, I finally wanted to get to 60 and I wanted to finish it out, is because it's like, I did feel that regret. It's like, because it was such a journey, and the journey was so fun. And that's why I think I just want to keep leveling new characters and just keep, because I want to just re-experience that 1 to 60 journey on Estorian that, like, I don't know if I'll ever get that back,
Well, that's something that I think Classic is very special. I think that's something that for some reason retail WoW can't capture this, and no other game that I've personally played captures the classic World of Warcraft feeling. And that's something that what I just described, you know what I'm talking about. The people in the audience know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, you just don't know. And that sounds really elitist or whatever, but Classic's kind of that way. The reason Classic exists is because there's enough of us. So
yeah, there's a reason I'm going to keep showing up to raids with no gear. I don't even care if gear drops. I'll still show up to the raid.
Yes.
It's just the experience, because I never got to experience that as a kid. I never like. There's no other game that offers this 40-man raid experience where it's kind of challenging. You need certain gear. You need to spend time doing one thing or another thing just to make sure you're ready for the raid. Well, not a lot of games provide that anymore.
So here's that's a perfect segue. So what? And I'll let you take this one. So what do you think, or we'll go with what do you think, and then what do you want in terms of where, like, so Nax is going to come out in a few months. Where do you think Classic is going to go after that? And so so some of the options that I've heard are Classic Plus, Classic TBC, Wrath. What do you think?
Right. So I do not believe Classic Plus will be a thing. I don't think that's an option they're going to explore.
Yeah.
Because it'll ruin the image of the game. RuneScape really dropped the ball on this. Yeah. Where the old school version, they really diluted it with all this new content, with all this flashy new things, and it's not old school RuneScape anymore. It's RuneScape Plus. And all these people that are playing it, that are wanting to play the 2007 version, they're not playing that version anymore, right? Like, we're playing 2005 WoW right now, Classic. That's what it is. And nothing's changed. They've made no changes. That was a big thing people pushed for, was no changes. We want it to be the same WoW.
Yeah.
And so right now, I think it's in a great spot to go to Nax. We're going to experience Nax. That's going to be amazing. I've always wanted to do old school Nax. I've heard it was hard.
Absolutely.
I've heard it was challenging. You need 8 tanks on 4 horsemen. It's amazing. Like, that just sounds so fun, especially my guild can't even clear AQ right now. So it's like, we're going into another raid. That's going to be awesome. More time to improve, more time. So for me, I want to see them just go straight to TBC. Give us 4 or 5 months of Nax. Let us figure it out. Let us get the gear. But here's the big thing. Here's the big talking point, is how are they going to release TBC? Are they going to do fresh servers? Are they going to do, you start at 58 with green gear? Because you can't have people coming into TBC with 50,000 gold, 30,000 gold, with, it's going to be really, they have to do it in a precise way. Because at this point, I really don't know how they're going to release it. I believe there is big plans for them to release it. I think they are working on it. I think it's a plan, but there's just so many different ways you can release it. Because in my eyes, the best way to do it would be fresh servers. Everybody starts at level 1. Then they can make their Draenei, they can make their Blood Elf, and everybody's in the same playing field. Nobody has thousands of gold. Nobody's ahead, right?
Yeah.
But then it becomes a progression server, because we start Classic with Nax released. So we can go in at level 58, do ZG, do AQ 20. We can get geared to go do Outlands.
So now, my quick interlude there, or quick question, do you not think, because the one point of contention on that people have brought up that I've read, is that will split the community? So what you're saying is have BC servers and Classic servers? Is that what you were just saying?
It will, yes.
Yeah. So
your Classic servers alive, and that's where your character is. Like, that's where all your time is, and you can still do Nax, you can still do PvP, you can whatever you want, but TBC server has to be separate, I believe, because it's just going to be, it's going to become you're going to lose a lot of player base at launch when people are running around with full tier 3 and just murking everything, and you can't get a quest mob to save your life.
Right, for
and
sure.
The market's so diluted that everything costs so much. Mats are going to be costing hundreds of gold a piece, because people have grinded 50k gold. By the time Nax comes out, once you get Nax gear, gold becomes very easy to farm, because Nax gear is very, very OP.
Right, for sure. Yeah, anyway, so they've definitely done some changes, but the little changes that they've done have been they added, what is it? The thing to Battlegrounds, where you could do custom groups, or it's just been not game breaking stuff. It's just been, they've just added random stuff like that.
Nice,
so,
yeah, and it's things that private servers have done in the past too. And they want to cater to the audience.
Yeah, and the Classic Plus folks, I know what they're looking for is they don't want to have the game go towards the direction of Wrath. But so here's what I think here's what I think they're gonna do, right? And this is also sort of coincides with what I actually want. I think they're gonna go to BC. I think that I'm with you. I think that they're gonna do separate servers, right?
It has to be we're gonna have. They have to release it as a separate game.
I think you're gonna have, because you're gonna satisfy both folks, right? You're gonna have people who are gonna have basically their same characters on on both servers. A lot of people aren't going to want to level, but the same people who aren't going to want to level a new character would be the same people who would be complaining if we just went to BC. So whatever. So what you're going to have is it's going to go to BC, right? Now, eventually, there's going to be a discussion that's going to involve, do we go to Wrath? And my personal opinion is no. I think that we draw the line there. Now, that's where I think eventually, we're talking years down the line, right? That's where I think they'll do some sort of Classic Plus content, right? We're talking end of BC here, years down the line when we've been doing Black Temple for a while. I think that's when the discussion of Classic Plus, air quotes, I think that's when that's going to happen. What do you think? I don't think we're going to Wrath.
We're not going to Wrath because that was a big game changer when they introduced the hero class, aka Death Knight. That was the first big game. I don't want to say game breaking, but it was a game changing thing that it introduced this whole new class. It was OP. It could play 2 roles, tank DPS. We'd never seen a class like that.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to Wrath.
Game started going in a different direction for sure.
Yeah, and so many different things changed. The rage changed. Everything was different. If they take it to BC, like I said, with fresh servers, because I believe that's the only way to implement it, have them 2 separate games. Let people play their classic, and then to kind of take a side note, another great option would be to release fresh classic servers. Right. Say a second wave, like you guys want to do if you want to, this is your opportunity to establish a guild, to establish whatever you want to do. I think it'd be a great option to do just fresh classic servers, maybe every year.
Sure. You know? Well, and I've also toyed with the idea, not really publicly, but I've thought with the idea of if they're going to do that, they can also change the parameters and rules of the server, right? To make it
absolutely
more difficult to level, requires more XP or less XP, or probably, I imagine a more hardcore server, not an easier server, honestly, but I imagine they're, you know what I mean? Like just spitball them, but they could do,
if you know anything about Ragnarok's been around since 2003, 2002, and the servers are still live. People are still playing it, and what they do for their subscribers, because it's a free game now, but for their subscribers, they get a little bit increased experience. Right. It goes to 1.3 instead of 1.0, and so they get a little bit incentive, and so maybe that's something they can implement where you pay maybe $5 more a month and you get a little extra experience, something like that. It's just people want to play classic. It's very apparent. People want to play classic. People love this version of the game. Yep, and, exactly. And even for me, the idea of a fresh progression service, because EQ still does this to this day. I don't know if you know this. EverQuest still releases progression service to this day. It's 2020. EQ came out in the 90s.
That's insane.
And so, yes, and so to this day, EverQuest is still doing progression servers to where they start on the very first expansion and they go, and EQ has 25 expansions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's quite a number.
And I think that's what'll eventually happen. I think what's going to more than likely happen is you'll have, like you said, eventually the split where we go Burning Crusade, and then when Burning Crusade sort of eventually gets to a point where it, sort of stops or whatever, then I think that we're going to see progression servers like you were talking about that. And that actually, I like that idea, because what's cool about that is, like I said, they could add modifiers to the server or not. And what is going to be great is that all those folks who did miss out on that, I'll tell you what, man, there's nothing like waiting 3 hours in a queue to get into World of Warcraft, man. What a freaking time that was. You remember that?
Dude, my server right now, Old Blanchie, is a medium population. Yeah. And we used to have queues back in the day. Because I made my character August 27th and it came out August 26th because I couldn't get a subscription figured out. I remember that was the issue. Right. When I finally made my character, we had queues up for months, almost months. So it was queues every day.
Yeah. I remember logging your character in.
Yeah. When I was at work and I'd come home at work and my character would be logging in. I was like, fuck yeah, man. Yep. But it's just because people want to play the game. They want to experience it, like Phase 1 World of Warcraft. I'm talking about. So if they were to re-release Classic, just a re-release, Classic, pretty much, if you want to call it. I know it's kind of redundant. Sure. But you go Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Like, that's exciting. People are going to want to do that again. People like Joker D, people like Apes, Salad Bakers, Onslaught. These high-level players
absolutely
are going to want to do that again. Because half these people don't care about TBC. Half these people never even played TBC.
Well, and so see,
right?
that's why I also think this, this really brings that argument. So like I said, they're going to just try and appease as many people as possible, right? They're going to try and have the classic servers, the BC servers, the progression servers, because there are going to be people like leveling a character during that first initial wave is a completely different experience. You're talking like before anyone even has a level 40 mount. Like it's a completely different, it's not a completely different game, but
it's amazing. Let me say, it's incredible.
It is, absolutely. And so like that's going to definitely happen in BC. I mean, that's all going to be there. But like that initial classic rush, like I think that even if the progression servers, I can't imagine they're going to be as popular as when classic first came out, but there's enough people out there who are interested in that everyone, even if they have one West Coast progression server, one East Coast progression server, there's going to be so many people playing on those servers that it's going to be packed. And I think people would be interested in it for sure, especially because you're going to have a lot of these more hardcore guys, like you just mentioned, who are going to be trying to go for like the world firsts again and the server firsts and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has the same excitement as to every time they release a new raid tier or a new 40 man. Like I would love to see a 40 man in retail raid nowadays. How is that not a thing anymore? Like getting 25 people together that's fun, but 40 people together all coordinating through the same mechanics, the same,
In retail WoW in and of itself, I mean that could be an entire podcast where we just talk about retail WoW, because it's a completely it's if you look at it now, it's so staggering. And I don't know how many people out there do this, but for me, like playing retail and classic together, sometimes I play them in the same day. Like it looks like the same game, but it's completely different mindset, just completely different mechanics, completely different. And it's interesting to see how far WoW has come as someone who's played it.
Well, it's the same perspective for me. Like I play Fury Warrior, and if TBC comes out, my class becomes useless. My class becomes irrelevant. I either have to go arms and just PvP, or I have to main tank or reroll, basically. So it's like, it's confusing because it's.
That being said, I mean, do you want Burning Crusade to come out?
I do, yeah, of course. Because I'd reroll. I'd go Beastmaster Hunter. That's what I do.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely am playing a hunter in BC. Absolutely, yeah. I have 110% committed to that.
Warlocks and hunters kind of become the flavor of the month. Like
right,
classics, warriors are top.
For me, TBC it's not even that. It's just my Draenei hunter. Like I
yeah, and I'm not calling myself a meta slave or anything, but it's just like I want to play it's viable. Sure. Obviously, Fury Warrior's not viable, so I'm not going to play it. If I can find a good progress guild that'll want me to tank, I'm down to tank because I still want to play warrior.
I was going to say there's nothing stopping you from playing that character and then also playing whatever's the flavor of the month just for base reasons. Or
I'm talking more about this is another topic about casual versus hardcore guilds.
Sure, yeah.
What's more like what's more your play style? Like after tonight, I'll tell a little story for you guys. So every week I raid BWL and AQ40. We're actually progressing AQ40 right now. We're actually 4 of 9, I think. We're trying to get down twin imps. Anyways, we did BWL tonight, and I always get my world buffs. I only do the 2. I do the Ani buff and the ZG buff. So not bad, not too buffed up. It's like I just got 5% extra crit. It's nothing serious. But our guild runs a main tank, bear tank. And so they obviously have a big problem with threat holding. And this happens every week. To where I pull threat or something goes weird with the threat in the beginning of the boss fight and I just die. Right? And so this is a casual dad guild.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So this is a casual dad guild and we clear content. We do. It's not efficient. It's not fast. It's not optimized, but we clear it. And so I'm the more I play the game, I'm more getting into the mindset where I want to play more hardcore. I want to play more optimized, more efficient, I want to get all the world buffs. I want to get as many consumes as I can just to down the content. And so it's just all about like what your goal is in the game, Sure. It's very interesting. And a lot of games don't offer that kind of dynamic. A lot of games, there's one meta and you play the meta and that's it. But I can tell you right now, in my guild, nobody does the meta. We have 2 boomkins. Nobody plays meta,
Well, the meta is sort of it's constantly like being redefined, right? Because the meta as it was now is not what it was back in the day. I mean, there was no one who was doing what people are doing now, like back.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I think that we've kind of outlined a few topics that were going to be for some future podcasts, which was kind of going to be my next segue into, because we've been talking for about 40 minutes now, so we can probably segue on out. Yeah, I know, right? It's time kind of flies. But right. Yeah, so for future podcasts, that's definitely something to talk about, the difference between, or like, the meta slave thing and how that has affected Classic, because I know I've heard from a lot of more casual players who say that the folks who are out there, chasing world buffs and trying to always have their flasks on and whatever, are making the game unfun for the people who are more casual players. But
here's the thing, though, they're having the more fun. It's the two different perspectives, and you're absolutely right, because it's just, and for me, it's just how you want to play the game. Certainly. Both options work. It's just how you personally want to play the game, and I love that the game caters to both. You can do both and be completely fine.
Well, and that's why there's really, I know a lot of folks complain about the game, but really there's nothing else like it. And that's why I think everyone still plays it. And that's why I still play it all these years later, is that there's really, I've tried to play other games out there and other games come close, but really there's nothing else out there that is like World of Warcraft, at least for me. And maybe that's my rose tinted glasses, but for me, it sort of stands alone.
So a great topic for the next podcast is what MMOs we're looking at, what we think is going to be the next big MMO, what we're interested in, kind of things like that.
Yeah, what we've played. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I tell you what, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Episode 1. I mean, you're going to be on the podcast every week, so it's not like it's our podcast.
I'm going to be in here co-host. I'll be here every week, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoyed us just sitting here talking about random bullshit for going on almost an hour, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot. We've had quite a lot of love on the channel recently, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like button as well. And also, if you have anything to say, leave a comment. I like to react to those, and I've literally commented back on every one of my comments so far. So the channel's going places, and I really appreciate all the love we've been getting. You got anything you got to say?
If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We would love to answer them. We want to kind of do a questions segment. I think that would be really cool.
Absolutely.
We can take viewer questions and we can talk on those points. And if you guys have anything to say, any advice, any critiques, we love criticism. Just let us know how we're doing. And thanks for watching.